Fashion. But what is it like right now?
What the hell?
Are you serious? This is what we call fashion? How did we go from survival to this? Let's go back to the origins, to a time when high fashion simply meant not freezing to death. This is Bob. Bob is naked. Bob is cold. Bob is about to get a game over status. So, what happens next? In just a second, Bob made the greatest discovery in history. Clothes! It's not just warmth, it's the world's very first flex. Look at them. They don't just want to stay warm. They're jealous. Bob didn't just survive. He's an influencer now. And that's how fashion was born. And with it came humanity's two greatest problems. 1, what should I wear? 2, why does the neighboring cave have leopard skins and we only have the basic ones? Let's break it down. Welcome to ancient Egypt. This is where fashion became toxic, literally. Everyone wanted that perfect smoky eyes look. The secret ingredient? Lead. Yes, they were literally putting poison straight into their eyes. Beauty requires sacrifice? The Egyptians took that a bit too seriously. But at the time, they didn't know that lead was poisonous. Egyptian logic. 1, shave your head so you don't feel hot. 2, put on a heavy wool wig so you feel hot? Genius. Think about it. The foundation of their wardrobe didn't change for 3,000 years. White linen, a skirt, makeup. No radical changes. Your great-grandfather wore it, and you're wearing it too. While Egypt stayed the same, Greece appeared around 800 BC, and Rome around 750 BC. The Greeks invented minimalism. Just wrap yourself in a sheet and go philosophize. And the Romans? They basically copied the Greek style, added 3 more meters of fabric, and called it a toga. More fabric equals more power. And the main rule, purple equals power. The dye came from thousands of crushed snails. Yuck. It cost more than gold. If you wore purple and weren't the emperor, congratulations, you'd be executed. The fashion police didn't joke around back then. After the fall of Rome, fashion basically died for many years. The so-called Dark Ages. Everyone, from peasants to kings, wore long tunics. Basically, giant hoodies. Comfortable? Yes. Stylish? Well, if your beauty standard is a sack of potatoes. But in 1340, there was an explosion. Poulins. Shoes with ridiculously long toes. Fact, there was even a law regulating toe length. If you weren't a noble, your toe couldn't be longer than 15 centimeters. For royalty, they reached half a meter.
Ooh,
they even tied them to their knees just to walk. The early 15th century, the me party style. You looked like the Joker. One leg red, the other green. The brighter the better. This wasn't a circus. This was high fashion, baby. Women in the 1400s had one beauty ideal, a giant forehead. To get it, they plucked their hairline back 2 to 3 centimeters. And the eyebrows, too. Completely gone. They looked like beautiful aliens. Beauty requires sacrifice. And tweezers. And to emphasize that forehead, they wore a hinnon. Let's be honest, it looked like a traffic cone, wrapped in silk. Some looked like they had horns. Even the church called them the devil's horns. And of course, they couldn't fit through doors, they had to duck. The 1500s, men responded with the codpiece. At first, it was just a piece of fabric to cover the seam in their tights. But then they started stuffing it with padding to make it look convincing. And this is a historical fact. They used it as a pocket for coins, handkerchiefs, even fruit. The weirdest belt bag in history. Women decided to take up more space. The farthingale. The first crinoline in history, a frame made of wood or whalebone. A woman looked like a bell. But by the 1590s, that wasn't enough. Women said, We want to be wider. That's how the wheel farthingale appeared. Literally a flat disc around the waist. Now a woman looked like a walking table. Physically, it was impossible to get closer than a meter. And the final touch, makeup. Back then, a tan was seen as a sign of poverty. The answer? Venetian ceruse. The recipe was simple: mix vinegar and lead. It gave the effect of perfect porcelain skin, but there was one problem. The mixture literally ate away at the face. What did they do? Just apply a new layer over the wounds. By the end of their lives, a noblewoman's face looked like old plaster falling off a wall. Add giant collars you couldn't even eat in, and you start to get it. People in the Middle Ages weren't stupid. They were just victims of fashion. The 17th century, France. King Louis XIV started going bald. For the Sun King, that was a disgrace. The solution? The periwig. He put on artificial hair. The entire court said, "Oh, that's cool," and copied him. Eventually, wigs became white. Why? Hygiene. Heads were shaved to get rid of lice, but the lice just moved on to the wigs. So wigs started being dusted with tons of rice powder. It killed the smell and the parasites. Men were literally walking in a cloud of flour. Sneeze, and you're in a fog. The 1770s, the peak of absurdity. A group of British men called Macaronis. Yes, named after pasta. They were the ancestors of modern hipsters. Their outfit is something. The wig was huge, really huge. And on top of the wig, a micro hat. Smaller than a palm. It had to be pinned on or it would blow away. Their outfit also included tight pants and, yes, 2 pocket watches. Why 2? Symmetry. One was real, the other one was fake. Okay. Women didn't stay behind. The Pouf hairstyle. This wasn't just a hairstyle, it was an engineering structure. Up to 1 meter tall, a frame, horsehair, and animal fat to keep everything in place. They decorated it with flowers, birds, and sometimes even miniature ships. And yes, because of the fat, mice actually nested in it at night. Zoo on your head was not a metaphor. The year 1800. Beau Brummel arrived and said, "Enough looking like clowns." He introduced the simple black suit. No heels, no makeup. Male fashion died and became boring for the next 200 years. We turned into office penguins. But women kept suffering. The Victorian era. The crinoline. A skirt built on a steel frame, so wide that women got stuck in doorways. And it was dangerous. A strong wind could blow you off a pier like an umbrella. And if you got too close to a fireplace, let's just say fashion is fire was taken literally. And of course, the corset. The goal? A waist you could wrap your hands around. The result? Your organs started playing Tetris inside your body. The liver moved up. The stomach moved down. Women fainted constantly, not from delicacy, but because their lungs simply had no room to breathe. The early 20th century, fashion became sadistic. The hit of the season? The hobble skirt. It was tight around the ankles. A woman could take a step no wider than 10 centimeters. And if an angry dog was running at you, well, you were dinner. But these dresses didn't last long. World War I began. Men went to the front. Women had to work in factories. Uncomfortable dresses were replaced with more practical clothing. Fashion went quiet again. The main legacy of war? The trench coat. It was created by Thomas Burberry for the hell of the trenches. Waterproof, with a belt designed to carry grenades. When soldiers came home, they didn't want to take it off. Over time, it became a classic. But remember this, your stylish coat was born for mud, rats, and survival. Another detail, watches. Before the war, wristwatches were worn only by women. They were seen as jewelry. Men used pocket watches. But in a trench, under rain, with a rifle in your hands, digging through your pockets wasn't very practical. so officers started strapping watches to their wrists. That's how a women's accessory became the soldier's most important gadget. World War II flipped the rules of the game. It legalized the t-shirt. Before the war, it was underwear. Wearing it in public was like walking outside in your underwear. But soldiers in the tropics didn't care. It was hot. They came home wearing t-shirts, and the world surrendered. Now it's the base of your wardrobe. And after World War II, pilots also brought aviator sunglasses and bomber jackets into fashion. And after the war, a real awakening began. For the first time, young people had their own money, and they wanted just one thing: to stand out. They refused to be copies of their parents. That's how the teenager was born. The first trend? Jeans. They used to be workwear for mines. Now they were a symbol of freedom. Add a leather jacket, a white t-shirt, and some pomade. You looked like a troublemaker. And after the rebels, fashion completely lost its brakes. The 1960s. Miniskirts. Less fabric, more legs. Morality officially went on vacation. Then came the hippies. They replaced soap with tie-dye and deodorant with peace for the whole world. The 1970s slapped back. Punks. Safety pins in noses, mohawks on heads. The more grandmas you scared, the cooler you were. The 1980s. Goths decided that looking like a corpse was stylish, while career women put on massive shoulder pads to look like tanks. The 1990s. Grunge and heroin chic. It was fashionable to look like you slept under a bridge or urgently needed a doctor. The 2000s. Emo successfully sold depression, and rappers dropped their pants to their knees. And what came next? You already know. You see it every day in your feed. We've come a long way, from wearing bearskins to survive, to wearing clothes that became part of who we are. I'm not saying modern fashion is ugly, it's just different. Everyone has their own style. Some people wear vintage, others wear dad sneakers. And that's okay. To each their own. But let's be honest, some things today are truly weird. When a brand sells a trash bag for $2,000, it feels like the world has slightly lost its mind. We used to dress to look like kings. Now we pay a fortune to look like we're taking out the trash. We laugh at people who wore lead makeup and wigs. But trust me, in 50 years, our grandchildren will look at our photos and ask, "Grandpa, what the hell were you wearing?" Fashion is just a temporary agreement not to laugh at each other. So enjoy it while it lasts. Thanks for watching. Ciao.